Hello, everyone. I hope you can hear us. We'll start our presentation for this general information webinar on our third Joint Transnational Co-funded call for the Sustainable Blue Economy Partnership. This call is called the Digitalisation and Innovation for Resilient Marine Ecosystems, Businesses and Communities to Strengthen the EU Blue Economy's Competitiveness. If you have any questions during the whole webinar, please don't hesitate to put them on the chat and we will answer them throughout the presentation. So today we'll go over the partnership and this third co-funded call. We'll start with a small welcome from Margherita Caperetto, who is the coordinator from the Ministry of University and Research in Italy. And then we'll go over the third co-funded call, a quick introduction. We'll present to you the priority areas, so the scientific content of the call text of this third call. And then we'll go over the general information towards you, the applicants. And this will be presented to you by my colleague, Sylvain Pasquier from the ANR, and also our colleagues from GPI Ocean, Gabriel Aubert, and also our colleagues from Spain, from AEI, Abraham Trujillo. We'll then go over the call process, the eligibility rules, the selection procedure, and the evaluation criteria. Then we'll finish with the presentation of the submission system. We have a short video that will be presented to you by Catherine Sarr from ETAG. We'll finish with the presentation of the brokerage event, so the partnering tool for this third call, which will again be done by Sylvain, and then we'll do the closure and next steps. A few guidelines. This webinar is recorded and it will be available for replay after we have ended our presentation. The audio is only available to us, the animators of the presentation. So if you have any questions, please put them in the chat. We have Q&A sessions planned throughout the presentation, so we'll be able to answer questions throughout the whole webinar. If you have any questions, they must be related to the ongoing topic session. If you have any questions related to the national, regional funding organizations, you have to consult the Annex B or contact your national or regional contact points, which are also in the Annex B of the call text on the SBEP website. If you have any other specific questions about the call, you can also contact the Joint Call Secretariat. Their email is at the end of this presentation. So all these slides will be made available on the SBEP website, as well as this presentation, the recording of this presentation on the SBEP website after we have finished. And so, Margherita, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Beverly and colleagues. Before handing over to our policy officer from the European Commission, Michaela Gilli, that I see connected, thanks, Michaela, I would like to welcome all the potential applicants to this third joint transnational call of the European Sustainable Blue Economy Partnership. It is a very important moment today. First of all, because being this the third out of 6 joint calls that the partnership will launch, you can understand that today, and maybe better the 15th of September, when the call text was actually launched and published on our website, marks the halfway point of the partnership journey. It is an important call because we have added, compared to the last one topic related to the resilience of the coastal communities, further enhancing our attention to important blue economy sector that really characterize the societies, the European societies and beyond. Looking at the big big picture, it is also a very important call because according to our impact pathway and the impact-oriented approach, we usually rely and assess the results of every call in order to adjust our strategy. So to ensure that the impact we would like to achieve really is met and meets the needs of the communities. But at this time, we will not only look at the evolution of the strategy, we will look a little bit more broadly at the evolution of the entire partnership in the evolving landscape of the research and innovation policies and beyond. As you know, the next framework program for research and innovation is in preparation, and the partnership is organizing all the consortium is organizing to really respond, to really position us with our results that are really anchored into the project that we co-fund, to position ourselves in the next 7 years of European research and innovation. It is with this emphasis that more than usual, I would like to thank the people that made this event today, but the launch of the third joint call of the partnership possible, starting from our colleagues in ANR, France, our colleague from UFECD in Romania, and all the funding organizations represented in the co-steering committee that worked heavily in order to target in time this additional achievement. So my wish is really that all the 175 participants that I now see connected can explore the opportunity offered by the partnership, and moreover be always attentive of what's happening, because the opportunities offered by the partnership goes also beyond the Joint Transnational Call. We will organize in February a public conference called the Symposium, and we would like really to mobilize the broad community to exchange with us. We regularly, and starting from next year, launch call for access to research infrastructure. We have launched a call for portfolio of projects. So the partnership, now that it is in the middle of its lifetime, as a portfolio of activities for you, for the benefit of reaching a sustainable blue, a transition to a sustainable blue economy that is really complete. And on this note, again, thank you, colleagues, and I'll pass the floor to Michaela.
Thank you, Margherita. Hope you can hear me well. So,
yes.
Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the European Commission, as a co-founder of SPEP, I'm delighted to welcome you all to this webinar today. For those who may not know me, I'm Michaela Gigli, Policy Officer at DG Research and Innovation, working in the unit that oversees oceans and water. Yeah, indeed, it's great to see so many of you coming here today. So, this third joint transnational call, as Margherita already pointed out, it comes at a very crucial moment in time, not only in view of the preparations of the new MFF, but SPEP, as the blue arm of the Green Deal, will play an even stronger role in helping us, the EU, develop a more integrated, systemic and strategic approach to the ocean, supporting our shared vision of becoming an ocean union. The projects we want to fund through this call will directly contribute to the European Ocean Pact, and link to that also the water resilience strategy. Alongside the projects from previous calls, they will also help drive forward blue research and innovation and ensure that SPEP's work informs the upcoming ocean R&I strategy by mobilizing national investment to develop and deploy new knowledge and solutions. A key focus of this strategy will be a source-to-sea approach, better governance, and bridging the fragmentation of EU R&I initiatives, including research infrastructures. And of course, this strategy will build on the work of SPEP, as well as the mission Restore Our Ocean and Waters. So this call directly advances key priorities of the European Ocean Pact: governance, digital innovation, ecosystem and community resilience, and sustainable economic growth in marine environments. For the applicants focusing on digital innovation, your work will support the Ocean Observation Initiative under the Ocean Pact, using the European digital twin of the ocean to turn data into actionable solutions. And we also seek projects that enable transitioning of the blue economy sectors, integrate climate considerations into maritime spatial planning, develop blue bioresources, sustainable fisheries and aquaculture, and as Margarita pointed out, the important topic to strengthen coastal communities and businesses. So together, these efforts will drive a sustainable and resilient blue economy, boosting Europe's competitiveness and strategic autonomy. Yes, indeed, I have no slides. So I truly hope this webinar provides you with the insights and clarity you need to submit strong, high-impact applications, ones that will make a meaningful contribution to the European Ocean Pact and other Green Deal policies. So wishing you all the best with the applications. Thank you and enjoy the session.
Thank you very much, Michaela. We're going to move on now to the presentation of the second co-funded call. So the vision of the partnership is to design, steer, and support a just and inclusive transition to a regenerative, resilient, and sustainable blue economy, with of course the ambition to boost the transformation towards a climate neutral, sustainable, productive, and competitive blue economy by 2030, with the last vision being to create, enhance, and sustain ocean health and the social, environmental, and economic well-being of the people by 2050. Well, I'm going to talk to you a bit about the background of this call and partnership. The ambition is for a blue economy to build a more competitive, sustainable, resilient, and secure European Union. The blue economy enables notably the employment of about 4.82 million people, and there is a high development of the offshore wind sector, which is the sector that is the fastest growing in the blue economy, and also the biggest sector in the blue economy is coastal tourism. The blue economy's growth is impacted by numerous elements, the first being geopolitical context, environmental disasters, and acceleration of climate change. We also have the events of the COVID-19 pandemic that still affects this economy, and also the slow innovation and lack of business dynamism. The European Ocean Pact, which comes from the European Blue Economy, enables Europe to leverage vast maritime area and coastline to boost innovation through blue technologies, regenerative blue economy, clean energy production, and food security. It also enables to strengthen the EU policies. It also enables to create a unified framework for ocean policies aiming to preserve ocean health and boost the EU economy. The partnership is also described as the blue arm of the Green Deal. This partnership responds to goals of EU policies, which you have here. So the European Green Deal, Digital Europe, the Marine Strategy Framework Directive, and a Healthy Planet for All. This partnership also aims to strengthen EU policies, such as the European Climate Law, the EU Biodiversity Strategy, and all the other policies you have on this presentation. This partnership also aims to connect, build synergies, and create complementarities with other EU partnerships. So we have animal health and welfare, biodiversity plus, clean energy and transitions, driving urban transitions, future foods, which is a new partnership, water security for the planet, which is water for all, more commonly known, and also zero emission waterborne transport. There are other initiatives that this partnership aims to create complementarities with. We have GPI Oceans and also the Mission Lighthouses. This call is co-branded, which means it is part of the UN Decade of Ocean Science for Sustainable Development, which is coordinated by UNESCO's Intergovernmental Oceanographic Commission on behalf of the UN system, with the aim that selected funded research and innovation projects are endorsed as Ocean Decade projects. This means that funded projects are endorsed as Ocean Decade actions and are part of highly visible and global effort that opens up opportunities to create new collaborations across disciplines, geographies, generations, and to establish access to new sources of support. So it creates visibility for the funded projects. We have 5 priority areas in this call, the first being DTO, so digital twins of the oceans at sub-basin scale. The second priority area is transitioning the blue economy sectors and the development of the coexistence and the marine multi-use infrastructures. The third one is climate smart planning and managing sea uses at the regional level. The fourth is blue bioresources, with a focus on sustainable fisheries and aquaculture and new bio-based products. And the last one is resilient coastal communities and businesses. We have 28 countries participating in this call, with 37 participating funding organizations who are responsible for funding research and innovation actions in the blue economy, combined with the contributions of the European Union. We have member states, so we have Belgium, Bulgaria, Denmark, Estonia, Finland, France, Germany, Greece, Ireland, Italy, Latvia, Lithuania, Malta, Poland, Portugal, Romania, Slovenia, Spain, Sweden, the Netherlands, and Slovakia. We have associated countries such as Faroe Islands, Georgia, Norway, Montenegro, Tunisia, Turkey, and the Ukraine. And lastly, we also have a third country, which is the Brazil, participating in this call. For all the participating funding organizations, their national and regional regulations, we invite you to consult the Annex B of the call text. The link is on this presentation. If you have any questions regarding the national, regional regulations, the funding rules of these participating funding organizations, we invite you to contact the contact points of these organizations directly. I'll talk to you a bit about the call process. Sylvain will go more into detail later on. This is just a quick overview. So we have 37 PFOs, so those participating funding organizations, and also we have the co-funding of the EU. This call is a 2-step submission procedure. So we have the pre-proposal step and the full proposal step. There is one single international evaluation committee. So this IEC, so the International Evaluation Committee, will evaluate the proposals, the pre-proposals and the full proposals submitted under this call. Step 1, so pre-proposal stage, there will be eligibility checks done by the call steering committee. There will be the pre-proposal evaluation. The result of this evaluation is one single ranking list. Based on this ranking list and funding availability, proposals will be invited to submit their full proposal in step 2. The step 2, again, we have the eligibility checks, we have the evaluation, and based on the ranking list provided by the IEC, the highest ranked projects will be funded and also based on funding availability. So for the call agenda, today we have our international webinar. The call was launched on the 15th of September, like Margarita said during her presentation. The deadline for the pre-proposal submission is the 17th of November, so it's coming up quite quickly. We have our pre-proposal and eligibility checks, our IEC evaluation, and our core steering committee selection from November to March. In March, the coordinators of the submitted pre-proposals will receive the results of the pre-proposal step. From March to April, we will have the redress procedure. And then in June, the 17th of June, it will be the deadline to submit the full proposals. After this, very similarly, we will have the eligibility checks, the evaluation, and the selection, with the communication of the results to the coordinators in October 2026. The start of the projects is going to be between December 2026 and June 2027. It's quite a large window to start the projects, and this just depends on the contractualization with each funding organization, with each partner. And the end of the projects is expected in 2029, 2030, depending on the start of the projects. Each project is expected to last 36 months. So now I'll go over the priority areas of this call. As I said before, there are 5. So this call, which is titled Digitalisation and Innovation for Resilient Marine Ecosystem Businesses and Communities to Strengthen the EU Blue Economy's Competitiveness. So proposals submitted under this call are strongly encouraged to cover a broad geographical scale. So you are encouraged to consider a minimum of 2 European sea basins and assess the project's proposals' impact on these various sea basins. So the recommended sea basins are the Baltic Sea, the Black Sea, the Mediterranean Sea, the North Sea, and the Atlantic Ocean. But also proposals can target other European regional seas, such as the Adriatic Sea, the Aegean Sea, the Arctic Sea, the Barents Sea, the Celtic Sea, etc. All this is detailed in the call text. Projects are recommended to be impact-driven and to address industry and stakeholder involvement. They must contribute to the transformation into a blue economy for a more resilient future towards carbon-neutral targets, follow an impacts pathway approach, including private partners and relevant stakeholders. There is a strong recommendation to engage stakeholders from the quadruple helix. So we have the industry, research institutes, and the public in the consortia as partners or self-funded partners. So our 5 priority areas, which I'm going to describe a bit more. We have, firstly, digital twins of the oceans at sub-basin scale. So the overall objective is to develop a holistic type of digital twins of the oceans that offer realistic and interactive digital representations based on data-driven models and observations of all relevant process systems using a multidisciplinary perspective. That would provide answers to what-if questions in the context of ocean development, sustainable blue economy activities, and the effects of maritime spatial planning under climate, natural, and anthropogenic induced changes. So here the main projects are expected to cover mapping and analysis of the relevant existing available traceable and reliable multidimensional data from several sources in the targeted subbasin. This will allow to identify data gaps and to evaluate data uncertainties. Projects are also expected to create innovative methods aiming to acquire quality control data through newly implemented fit-for-purpose monitoring and/or observation systems can be proposed as well in the pre-proposals. New sensors, digital systems, and high technical developments can be envisaged in research and innovation proposals. Projects are also expected to develop and combine process-driven, data-driven dynamic models relevant to the sub-basin. For that purpose, general frameworks for exchanging information between models are expected. We have our second priority area, which is transitioning the blue economy sectors and the development of marine multi-use infrastructures. The overall objective is to boost technological innovations covering the entire blue economy. In agreement with the Green Deal and digital transition, the development of multi-use infrastructures and activities at sea is one of the solutions which is expected to minimize conflicts of interest for the demand of space and to increase sustainability. Projects are expected to cover transition of the blue economy, notably pave the way of the new solutions towards a sustainable blue economy and markets uptake in line with stakeholders. We also have investigate nature-based solutions focusing upon compatibilities and incompatibilities of material uses. And we also have investigate innovative solutions for curbing greenhouse gas emissions. Just to contextualize, pre-proposals are not expected to cover all these sub-thematics of each priority area, but they are expected to cover one priority area of the core. In this priority area, we also have improved coexistence and multi-use infrastructures. So firstly, to develop intelligent, faster, and more reliable control systems, and to study mechanisms that ensure sustainable, safe, and secure coexistence of several spatial functions and activities within the blue economy. Pre-proposals that are submitted under this priority area might be connected with projects from the mission Restore Our Oceans and Waters, with Water for All or biodiversity partnerships, and they must avoid duplication with these partnerships or be complementary to the Clean Energy Transition Partnership and focus on high technology readiness level technologies. We have our third priority area, which is climate smart planning and managing sea uses at the regional level. With the overall goal of this priority area to support science-based international decisions that consider environmental status, the legacy of human impacts, climate change trends, development of the blue economy and future scenarios, considering multitude of pressures from the uses of marine space and marine resources. The objective is to promote a new approach by integrating the national and or local initiatives at the EU regional sea basin level and Atlantic Ocean basin between the different bordering countries. It also includes the common evolution of coastal environments for the identification of suitable areas for different uses, minimizing conflicts and maximizing sustainable developments. We have in this priority area the scientific knowledge, data innovations for effective management and conservation of complex sociological systems with the sub-thematics, as I'll say, to implement integrated economical, ecological, and social ocean health indicators into marine ecosystem management tools in accordance with MSFD descriptors. Projects are also expected to cover and provide essential data for enhanced understanding of marine ecosystems and effective environmental management and conservation, and also perform intelligent seafloor sampling surveys. We also have in this priority area scientific knowledge, data innovations for effective management and conservation of complex sociological systems. In this sub-thematic, we have to generate knowledge and tools for improving currently available risk assessment procedures and management strategies for extreme events in the coastal areas. We also have to assess the spatial extent, carbon reservoir size, and resilience and development of effective conservation and restoration strategies for coastal blue carbon systems. Again, in this priority area, we have development of innovative decision supporting tools, which are also called DSTs. In here, we have to explore EMB, MSP-based transboundary scenarios and multilateral solutions, and also to develop advanced models for integrating multiple disciplines to create digital intelligence supporting tools. Our fourth priority area, blue bioresources, represents an important component of the broader blue economy, delivering food, feed, and bio-based products for Europe and export markets. The goal is to achieve sustainability. Important to consider all stages of the bioresources value chain, from harvesting, farming, and production to seafood processing, including biotechnology products, extracting value from waste streams, and developing new types of biomass, and new products enabling innovative processes. So as a subthematic, we have sustainable fisheries and harvesting. In here, we have studied migratory fish stocks to provide evidence-based support for the application of ecosystem-based management approaches to inshore and small-scale fishery management. We also have to investigate the impacts of climate change and human activities, and to gather a better understanding of cross-compliance alignments and trade-offs between fisheries policy management and other policy domains. In this subthematic, we still have to advance technological innovations aimed at preserving the nutritional value, quality, and integrity of seafood, to enhance the understanding of species roles in marine food webs and their growth potential, to develop new digital tools for monitoring the well-informed and timely decision-making and sustainable management, and to develop more selective and sustainable fishing gears that reduced environmental impacts. The second subthematic of this priority area is sustainability in aquaculture. So we have to develop innovative and eco-sustainable alternative solutions to produce established and new species. And of course, the last one, which is circular blue economy and bio-based products, where we have to develop new low-carbon marine bio-based products and to propose scientific-based evidence to support policy reform with respect to regulations and on the use of fishery waste and bycatch or side streams for a variety of new bio-based products. Synergies and complementarity with relevant projects under the Horizon Europe Cluster 6 are expected, with the EU missions Restore Ocean and Waters, and other EU partnership, as I said before, which are Future Foods, Animal Health and Welfare, Biodiversity Plus, Water for All. We have our last priority area, which is resilient coastal communities and businesses. The goal of this priority area is to support interdisciplinary research across natural sciences, social sciences, humanities, and technology, as well as innovation to enable a just and efficient transition to low-impact, regenerative, and sustainable coastal businesses that increases also the resilience, adaptation, and preparedness of the communities in which these businesses are embedded. The first subthematic being businesses, community resilience, and sustainable tourism. In here, we have to identify opportunities for sustainable blue tourism products and services, to assess the impacts of diverse coastal activities. And also we have to provide inputs to strategies for strengthening resilience and preparedness of coastal businesses, to sustain social innovation, to enable diversification of coastal and marine-based enterprises for delivering new economic opportunities and thriving coastal communities, to investigate, promote, and showcase the coexistence of coastal and maritime tourism and other coastal businesses with marine protected areas. Our last slide on this priority area, we have our next subthematic, which is resilient infrastructures and nature-based solutions. So here we have to analyze risks posed to coastal infrastructures by climate change and extreme events, and strategies to protect and redesign built structures and mitigate against risks. Then we have to develop embedded technologies in coastal infrastructures, to investigate effective investment in conservation of natural assets through nature-based solutions, and finally, to focus upon local and regional scale when appropriate to consider the temporal needs. So we have seasonal versus permanent of infrastructures to support tourism and other economic activities. And here we also have the synergies and complementarities with other relevant projects in the Horizon Europe Cluster 6. We have a Q&A session now. If you have any questions on what I've just presented, we won't go too much into detail about the scientific content, as all this is explained in the call text.
We have several questions on the chat. We won't reply to all of them because all the information is included in the call text. So we invite you to carefully read the description of the priority area of the call text. And we also produce FAQ after the meeting that you can consult. And we will detail the responses in this FAQ. There is a question about the TRL level for this call. So what is the expected TRL for projects submitted under the SBEP call, specifically those focused on blue bioresources? There is no TRL level for this expectation for this call. This is clearly oriented towards innovation, meaning that we don't expect too low TRL for the projects, but this is not a criteria of evaluation. So TRL level between medium and high TRL is accepted for this call, including for the priority area on blue bioresources. Is there overlap in priority areas between this call and the next calls? So if I understand the question, it refers to also the calls for the next calls of SBEP in the next years. There is clearly an overlap because these priority areas follow the strategic research and innovation agenda of the partnership. And as for the two first calls of SBEP, this third one, the funding organization are funding the different priority areas of the partnership, so each year. Is there any document that officially identifies countries according to their respective sea basin?
There is well, in the call text, there is a table which lists the participating funding organizations and the priority areas that they fund under this call. It is not linked to the sea basins. Any Any of the questions that are really linked to the scientific content will not answer today, but either we will get back to you or we'll send to you the FAQ after this presentation.
Yes, some of them are very technical and we will reply after the meeting.
To know if researchers from associated countries, Tunisia could be the PI of the project. Yes, researchers, well,
Tunisia is participating in this call. So yes, definitely.
You have to have a legal entity as the PI as coordinator of the pre-proposal, but they can be from the associated countries. Will this presentation be available? Yes, this presentation will be available on the SPEP website after this, after we are finished. So any questions concerning the grants or the funding per priority area, you need to check the Annex B of the call text. This is all specified in this annex. We also invite you to contact the contact points of the participating funding organizations, which are listed in Annex B.
There is a question on FCT, the funding organization from Portugal. We know that the information is still pending on the call text. So the participation of Portugal is not confirmed yet, but it should be confirmed soon. Stay informed. Our colleagues confirmed us that it will come soon on the call webpage.
For any more questions on the eligibility and the process of the call, we'll explain to you just after. So I propose all those questions we leave for afterwards. Okay.
Exactly.
For any information on calls 1 and 2, you can go to the SBEP website. There are 2 booklets on the proposals that were recommended for funding after these calls, and you can see their consortium, a description of their project, and I think, and yeah, you can see the consortium, where they are from, and the description. So I'll leave the floor to my colleague, Sylvain.
Yes, we will now continue with general recommendation for submitting your proposal. So we strongly encourage you to go beyond the state of the art by providing high quality research innovation. When appropriate, make use of innovative technologies, approaches, and concepts to do so. Be scientifically excellent and relevant to policy framed under the blue economy, and considered ongoing research activities, funding by the other EU missions, instruments, programs, or projects. Contribute to cross-cutting themes such as the open data policy, development of capacity building activities, and ocean literacy activities. Promote the inclusion of young people in the activities and knowledge transfer. Integrate the gender dimension in your proposal. Promote equal opportunities for participation of women and men in the research consortium. Follow partnership communication guidelines using our common visual identity. And finally, very important also, comply with the European Commission ethics self-assessment principle, and as well as the EU taxonomy. You are also encouraged to consider geographical balance and implementation in appropriate geographic settings according to the objectives of the proposal, including low and middle income countries or region, or less performing countries. Self-funded participation of legal entities from countries participating in the call is welcome. You can participate with your self funds, and project partners that are not eligible for funding can participate also as self-funded if they have a separate source of funding. We will specify this point later in the next session. Every partner in a pre-proposal and then in the full proposal, including the self-funded partner, needs a PIC number, the participant identification code from the European Commission, to be eligible to this call. So we highly encourage you to, if you don't have a PIC number, if you in your organization or in your company, we highly encourage you to request this PIC number on the European Commission platform well in advance, because it can take some time. And this request also applies to subcontractors if you are involved in a project as a subcontractor. I will now move on to some requirements regarding the impact expectation of this call, as well as questions regarding open access and fair data. So first of all, as mentioned by Beverly earlier, this call is very clearly oriented towards impacts. So we highly encourage you from the outset to to co-design your proposal with stakeholders from the quadruple helix, as it was mentioned, and we highly encourage you to describe in the description of your project your impact pathway. So we highly encourage you to use the methodology of theory of change to describe what impact your research is expected to achieve in the long run. So describe how the research and innovation process can contribute to societal, economic, environmental change. So describe the potential of your research project for impact, how the relevant stakeholders are involved from the outset of your project. We strongly encourage you to co-design your project with stakeholders, like could be industrial partners or public authorities, civil society organization. For the benefit of your project, we strongly encourage you to include these partners for the societal relevance, policy relevance, and so on. I will move on. So we strongly encourage you, in fact, to include a scheme in your proposal, such as this example of the theory of change that clearly states the relationships between your research activities, your direct outputs, the middle-term outcomes of your project, and the long-term expected impacts. So very basically, we encourage you to design such a scheme describing the logical relationships between your activities, outputs, outcomes, and long-term impact. This will be evaluated positively during the evaluation phases. So just to finish on the impacts, this is described in the Annex A of the call text, development of an impact pathway approach. And I will now move on to the open science principles. And so the partnership is strongly supports open science principle, including open sharing of research data generated by your project in accordance with FAIR principle of findable, accessible, interoperable, and reusable. So it includes a collection of data, reuse, if you use existing data, analysis, validation, and also data management. So we encourage open science, considering a balanced approach towards openness, with the logic that data should be as open as possible, but also as closed as necessary. Because we are fully aware that you might have some intellectual property constraints. So data sharing is constrained by the need to also protect commercial potential. From the pre-proposal stage, a data management plan is requested to describe how you manage your data. So this data management plan is to be included in the project description that you will submit, and the questions regarding the data management plan are included in the template that you will find also in Annex D for the pre-proposal, and Annex E for the full proposal. You will find the template for the data management plan to be included in your proposal. Some words about the open access now. Projects funded have to comply with full and immediate open access principles for scientific publications. So you have to use open access journals or publishing platforms or open access repositories. You can refer to the Annex F for all these questions related to open science, data management plan, or open access. The Annex F entitled Open Access and Fair Data. You will find the set of questions for the data management plans, and also advice on how to develop your data management plan, and also links to further information or documentation. I don't know if you have any question on either on theory of change or open access fair data. And if not, we will simply move on to the next session.
When you present
the theory of change is to be included in your project description. So we invite you to include an impact pathway following your theory of change directly on the description of your project at the pre-proposal stage and at the full proposal stage.
So there is the question about editable templates. To submit your pre-proposal, you must use the EPSS, but we will present this tool to you, in our slides later on. So yeah, I prefer, but we'll just wait before answering that question.
Is the project description be based on the theory of change? Yes, your project description has to be impact oriented. And what we invite you to do is to have a dedicated section in your description dedicated to impacts, describing how your project will generate impact. I suggest that we just move on. Yeah. So we'll pass the floor to our colleague Gabrielle Aubert from GPI Oceans for a presentation about ocean literacy. Gabrielle, can you jump in?
Gabrielle, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah,
we will.
perfectly.
Great, thanks. Okay, thanks. So you're handling the slides, right?
Yes, but we can pass it over to you if you prefer.
No, that's fine. I'll just say next slide if that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great, thanks. So hello, everyone. I'm going to present to you what ocean literacy is for us in the partnership and how that relates to this call. So basically, I don't know if you know what ocean literacy is, but it's basically getting people to know our influence on the ocean and also how the ocean influences us very vaguely. And how that translates in terms of our ambitions in the partnership is that we want to use ocean literacy tools and methods to promote behavioral change, to enable what we call the just and sustainable transformation of the blue economy. We also wanted to generate interest in sustainable marine innovation, also career opportunities and investment options across Europe. And this is also an opportunity for us to target industry actors as a way to influence their corporate social responsibility to make this just transition happen. Next slide, please. In more concrete terms, we try in the partnership to integrate ocean literacy in our co-funded projects. So that's what we've aimed to do in the last two calls. And also, this is a commitment that we're trying to strengthen in this call, which you may apply for. So we try to adopt innovative tools and approaches for this to happen. We also try to integrate citizen science and participation activities in these projects. And overall, this is really to achieve what we call a sustainable blue economy literacy. So really to make the topics of this call, for example, more understandable for people, who may work or not within the sustainable blue economy. Next slide, please. In a wider context, we work internally in the Sustainable Blue Economy Partnership in our work package to make all of this happen. But we also work with more global initiatives. So, for example, the EU for Ocean Coalition, they have a lot of tools on ocean literacy, if you don't know about them. The Mission Ocean and Waters, and also, as it's just been presented to you, the UN Ocean Decade, that co-brands the call. But we also work with them more directly to implement some ocean literacy actions, like, for example, through mentorship opportunities or trainings, for example. Next slide, please. So how this can be relevant to you. You may have already seen in the call text, and if you haven't, this is something that's included there, that applicants are strongly encouraged to integrate ocean literacy and citizen participation activities in their proposals. So it's not a mandatory requirement, but it is really strongly encouraged, because then this is something that will follow in the life cycle of the project. So the tasks that I take care of in the communication activities are to really implement ocean literacy activities and tools with the co-funded projects. So if you already plan that in your proposal, then this is something that is much easier for us to implement later. And you can actually get support from us to implement these activities. To give you another example, what we've done for the first round of co-funded projects, if we have organized a training on ocean literacy and science communication, and that's something we're going to do for the other projects as well. So this is something that you can benefit from. Another thing we want to put in place is, so we already have an ocean literacy toolkit that is a compilation of existing resources, not only from the partnership, but within the global sustainable blue economy community of things that exist, you know, to assist people who work in that sphere to implement their activities. And that is something that can be really relevant for the co-funded projects. And what we hope to in time is that when co-funded projects implement some ocean literacy activities, we can add them to the toolkit to have sort of a compilation of good practices, so your project can become a good practice on ocean literacy. Something quite exciting that we're also preparing at the moment with the co-funded projects is that we're creating web capsules or short videos and podcasts that will feature some of our co-funded projects. So if this is something that you want to already plan in your proposal or something you want to do later on, this is something that we can do to support you in showcasing your project, its early results, for example, and objectives. And then we had a final strand of activity on ocean literacy in relation to business to strengthen the links between the research community and industry partners. So, for example, something that we've done last year during the EU Ocean Days in Brussels, we invited a couple of projects to join and to attend the Blue Invest Days. So some projects that have a market consideration or objectives, we can try to really put them in touch with investors or at least initiatives at the EU level to support projects who are looking for this type of funding. Next slide, please. So yeah, that's everything I wanted to present. I went a bit quickly just to present it, but I'm open to questions if you have any. Thanks a lot.
I don't see any questions on the chat concerning ocean literacy. So maybe we can move on. Just note, if we haven't answered your questions in the chat now, oh yes, we have one question from Baltic Living Lab. Does ocean literacy include freshwater ecosystems?
Yeah, I think it does. Ocean literacy is very broad. So it does, I think, include freshwater ecosystems more and more as we're really trying to create a link between the ocean and so all these interactions, for example, between the ocean and terrestrial ecosystems. Of course, for us, it's a bit different because we focus on something a bit more specific. But what we do in the Sustainable Blue Economy Partnership on the blue economy builds into this larger framework of ocean literacy that includes freshwater ecosystems. So I hope that helps.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Is the EU ocean literacy connected with UNESCO?
Yes, so basically that's what I was trying to explain with these different levels. So when we talk about ocean literacy, there are different levels, but obviously this is something that is quite prominent with the work of IOC UNESCO on ocean literacy. So we don't work with them directly. I think the most direct link is this UN Ocean Decade. And by being co-branded projects, you can access some resources and support from the decade. So it's not a direct link in terms of what you'll do, but there are some direct links with IOC UNESCO that we try to implement at our own level.
Okay, we'll move on now. Thank you very much, Gabrielle, for your presentation. It was very good, very well presented. We're going to move on now to the project monitoring to our colleague in AEI, Abraham. So Abraham will stop presenting and then you can present your slides if this is easier for you.
Very good. Thank you. Can you hear me well?
Yeah, we can hear you perfectly.
Perfect. Then let me quickly share my screen and you will let me know if you can see it.
Yeah, We can see your screen.
Okay, so thank you to the hosts, and thank you to all the participants for connecting today to the webinar. My name is Abraham Trujillo. I am giving support to my colleague Esther. Sorry, Beverly, can you please mute? It's fine. It's okay. So as I was saying, my name is Abraham Trujillo. I work for the State Research Agency in Spain. We are in charge of the monitoring and follow-up of the funded projects in all the Sustainable Blue Economy Partnership calls. And I'm giving support to my colleague Esther Chacon, and I'm going to address in this section what's happening once the selected proposals of this call, as it happened with the previous calls, become actual projects, funded projects, and what are the obligations and the monitoring aspects that you should pay attention to when if you manage to get one of the projects selected for funding. I'll try to be brief and keep it simple, and then if there are questions, I would be happy to answer if I'm able to do so. So the most important thing maybe that you should keep in mind is that for this call, as it happened in previous calls, all the projects, once they are selected for funding, they have 3 milestones or 3 main moments in their life cycle where they have to present and report to the funding agencies in charge or participating in this call. Those are, in your case, the kickoff meeting, the midterm reporting meeting, and the final term meeting of the projects. The kickoff in this call, and based on the timeline that it was presented before, it should be in June 2027, approximately. We always make sure that all selected projects for funding have started to organize this kickoff. So this is an approximate date of June 2027. Then you will have a midterm reporting exercise with a meeting in November 2028, so 18th months after the kickoff. And if everything goes as expected and there are no delays or extensions of the projects, the final term, the end of the projects, should be around May 2030, where there is a final meeting also to exchange results and knowledge and basically to strengthen the networking among the projects. As I said, the kickoff is more about presenting the plans and the ideas of the selected projects, but the midterm and the final term, there are these seminars in principle are expected for the exchange of information and also to discuss with the expert reviewers that have done the assessment of the ongoing situation of your projects. One important thing that you have to pay attention when you're preparing the proposal is that the participation of the projects in these seminars, so in the 3 meetings that we have mentioned, kickoff, midterm, and final term, it is actually mandatory for the projects, and it's expected to be covered by the project's budget. So it's important that when drafting a proposal, you allocate some money to participate in these meetings, and it's actually that would be a kind of recommendation to allocate even an extra amount of money, because the SBEP community is increasing and we are organizing the more and more events and activities where the projects could benefit from. So we always try to organize as much as possible back-to-back events, etc. But it's always good to have a certain margin of budget in case you want to join any other of the SBEP activities. But for sure, for these 3 meetings, you have to, at proposal level, already allocate, at least for the coordinator, not for all the partners attending, but generally the coordinators of the projects are invited to participate in these 3 meetings with the budget of their own projects. In this case, the Sustainable Blue Economy Partnership will foster interaction and exchange between projects, also with projects funded in other calls and even in other partnerships. So we are trying to organize always these meetings, trying to enlarge the community and make you as projects connect with projects from past calls that are ongoing and projects even from different partnerships. About the reporting, this is a bit of information on the written reporting procedure. So not about the meetings we are having, but the exercise of a written report that you will be doing at some point. The reports that you have to fill in with information from your projects are based on some templates with key performance indicators that we have developed jointly with mostly with the colleagues of Agence Nationale de la Recherche who are in charge of this task, developing some KPIs where we get information from the projects that it's comparable and manageable. This is not very complex information. We usually ask about patents, about scientific outputs, knowledge outputs, scientific publications, if you've joined international conferences presenting your project, which kind of activities of networking or mobility you've done, dissemination activities, or if your research has any expected impact in policy aspects related with the topic of your research. So it's generally relatively easy indicators, and the monitoring system where you put this information, this is an online platform that is very similar to the submission system where you are working for the submission of the proposal. So it's quite straightforward. One important point also to be clear in the way the information of the projects has to be captured is that the project coordinators are our interlocutors. It's our dialogue is with the project coordinators. They are responsible for reporting and for collecting information from other partners in the consortium. So we usually communicate to the coordinators what are the deadlines and the templates, etc., and they have to follow with the different partners to collect information from different work packages of all projects. About the reporting and the assessment of the projects, we have what we call a follow-up experts group, which is basically a group of independent reviewers who will be responsible for the assessment of the project's execution. Most of these reviewers, they will be familiar with the projects because we usually try always to bring experts that have participated already during the proposal's evaluation. So sometimes we bring also fresh eyes, new experts who assess the ongoing situation of the projects. But in general, most of the group is relatively familiar with the projects that they are monitoring at midterm and final term. Of course, these members of the follow-up group, before being allocated to projects for monitoring and assessment, they must declare any possible conflict of interest with the allocated projects. And the process basically compares the initial proposal, so the full proposals that you will be submitting at step 2, and when those will become selected for funding projects, that initial proposal will be compared to the reported information at month 18 and then month 36 once the project is finished, to see the development of the project towards objective, deviations from the original plan, etc. And of course, also these follow-up group members, the independent experts that are assessing and reviewing your projects, they will be part of the seminars, of the midterm and final seminars, for the scientific discussions between the coordinator of the projects and the experts monitoring the projects. That's my last slide. A couple of last important points to remember is that reporting obligations for all partners of the funded projects at national level are mandatory and different for each national funding institution. So this monitoring exercise that I'm presenting today does not replace in any way the national obligations that each partner has respect with their funding agency at national level for reporting. It doesn't have to be on the same moments. We can have more frequent monitoring obligations at national level that at level of our partnership. So it's important to be clear that these are complementary, our monitoring exercise do not replace the national obligation. And then also it is very important, and that's a dialogue between us as follow-up secretariat and the projects. During the project's duration, any changes, delays, or unexpected circumstances within a consortium, they must be duly informed to the follow-up authority. That's us, the State Research Agency, because basically what we do is to try and help to find a solution to any of the recent situations, either with the funding agencies or with different partners, or the many different situations that can happen during a 3 years project. We try to contribute to that. So I believe that's my last presentation, correct? So I'm stopping the presentation, and I couldn't follow the chat. If there are questions, I would be happy to answer. Thank you very much.
There has been one question.
The question, Abraham, is: should final proposals be written with an eye on the KPIs of the reporting, as mentioned by Abraham?
My straight answer would be that the proposals have to follow the skeleton or the suggestions that the call text and the platform request, and the KPIs will be presented at a later stage. The kind of information that we want to capture from the projects, that's a future step. But I think for the proposals, in terms of the moment of maturity of the proposal should stick to all that is highlighted as relevant and important in the context, as it is the theory of change and all the information that has been or will be presented today, not so much adapted to the KPIs, because as we said, the KPIs in general are quite easy, and it's information that it's very easy to obtain from any project that has been selected for funding.
Thank you, Abraham. Thank you very much for this information. I think we can maybe move on to the next session, and we'll share again our screen. Okay, so we will now move on to the information about the call process itself, the eligibility rules to participate, the evaluation criteria of your proposal, as well as selection procedure. So, as already mentioned, this is a two-stage process. So you cannot enter in the process at the second stage, meaning that you have to submit a pre-proposal at the first stage in order to be eligible. What's very important is you have to comply with the general and national regional eligibility rules. The evaluation is processed by an international evaluation committee composed of 3 independent evaluators per proposal. And in the first stage, there are 2 evaluation criteria: excellence and impact. At the second stage, so full proposals, depending on the eligibility at first step and the evaluation done by the IEC, you will be invited to the second stage. So once again, there will be a general and national regional eligibility check. And there will be an evaluation by the International Evaluation Committee, 3 independent evaluators once again, and 3 evaluation criteria: excellence, impacts, but also quality and efficiency of implementation. The scope of your pre-proposal and full proposal, it must address one main priority area, meaning that you will have to specify in your proposal what is the priority area, the most addressed in your proposal. But of course, this means that your proposal has to be focused on one priority area only. You can also address sub-themes from the other priority areas, and not all the sub-themes within a priority area must be addressed. The duration of the project is 36 months. A general eligibility rule about the requested budget, a very important one, is that partners from the same country cannot request more than 60% of the total funding requested by the proposal. We want to have a balanced repartition of the work within the consortium between the different partners. So no more than 60% of the total funding requested from partners from the same country. The proposal must be written in English and must be submitted using the EPSS, which is the online submission platform for this call. So we will explain in next session more about the EPSS. You have to respect the number of pages limits, as well as other rules regarding the attachment files. You have to submit your proposal before the deadline on the 17th of November. Some other rules about the consortium composition. Each consortium must be composed of eligible partners from at least 3 countries participating in this call and requesting financial support from at least 3 different funding organizations participating in this call. So at least 3 partners from 3 different countries and 3 partners requesting money from their funding organization. This is a general eligibility rule for this call. And the second one, the projects must involve at least 2 independent legal entities from 2 different EU member states or Horizon Europe associated countries for this call. Some rule about self-funded partners. So self-funded partners are allowed in this call in the consortium, but doesn't count for the minimum requirement of eligible partners and countries. Also, they cannot act as a consortium coordinator, and they must demonstrate their willingness to self-fund their activities in the project. So it means that at the second stage, a letter of commitment will need to be submitted with the full proposal to demonstrate this willingness to self-fund the activities. About the consortium coordinator, one entity acts as a consortium coordinator. So this coordinator must be eligible for funding by a funding organization of the call. So it cannot be a self-funded partner. The consortium coordinator has the responsibility for submitting the proposal on the submission platform. And the coordinator can act as consortium coordinator only for one proposal. You cannot be coordinator of 2 different proposals. A very, very important document of this call is the Annex B of this call text, which is the national, regional regulations and the contact details of your national contact points. So the principle of this call is that each national regional funding organization founds its own national regional partner. So the consortium must comply with what I described just before, the general rules of eligibility, but also each entity, each organization participating in the consortium must comply with the regional national eligibility rules of its own funding organization. So before applying, we invite you to simply check that you are eligible to this call. So we invite you to contact your national contact points. You will find on the Annex B a table with the email address and phone number for your national contact point. And if you have any doubts, any question regarding your eligibility, please contact your national contact point. On this document, Annex B, you will find also all the information regarding the national regional rules for your country or for your region. So you have to comply with these rules. I now move on to the evaluation and selection procedure. First of all, for the first stage. So as I said, the evaluation is made by 3 independent evaluators from the International Evaluation Committee. There are 2 criteria at the first stage: excellence and impact, with the thresholds of 3 out of 5 for each criterion. Based on this assessment by the 3 independent evaluators and following a meeting of the International Evaluation Committee, a ranking list will be produced by the committee, including only the pre-proposals that meet the minimum threshold. So 3 out of 5 for the 2 criterion. The selection of proposal is based, 1, on the ranking list produced by the International Evaluation Committee, and 2, on the funding availability by each funding organization. I now move on to the evaluation procedure in the second stage. So this is the same principles. There will be an evaluation by 3 independent evaluators from the International Evaluation Committee. Contrary to the first stage, there are 3 criteria: excellence, impact, and also quality and efficiency of implementation, with the 3 thresholds, 3 out of 5 for each criterion. But there is an additional threshold at the second stage, which is a general threshold, summing the 3 scores for the 3 criteria. And this result is 10 out of 15. So as for the first stage, a ranking list will be produced by the committee, including only the proposals that meet the minimum thresholds. And the selection decision at the end of the process will be done by what we call the Call Steering Committee, which is the group of funding organizations participating in this call, following strictly the ranking list produced by the independent committee and the funding availability by the funding organizations. And official letters on the evaluation and on the selection results will be sent to the consortium coordinators. I will now go on the different evaluation criteria. First of all, the excellence one. So you have to fit to the scope. What is evaluated also is the novelty of the research, whether or not you address the knowledge gaps of this call, are the risks properly identified and managed, and finally, the soundness of the proposed methodology. The second one is the impact. So as I already mentioned when I described the theory of change and impact pathways, the credibility of the pathways to achieve the expected outcomes and impacts will be evaluated. The suitability and quality of the measures to maximize expected outcomes and impacts. The dissemination and exploitation plan, including communication activities, components of ocean literacy will be also evaluated. The added value of European transnational cooperation and networking, the quadruple helix ambition, whether or not you involve from the outset different stakeholders from the industry, from public authorities, research institutes, or civil society organizations. Whether or not your project is a transboundary project addressing more than one European sea basin, it will be evaluated also in this criterion. And finally, the EU taxonomy compliance. And finally, for the second stage only, the criterion quality and efficiency of implementation. So it will be the quality and effectiveness of the work plan, the assessment of risk, appropriateness of the effort to the work packages, and the resources overall will be evaluated. The capacity and role of each participant, the appropriateness of the partners and justification of the resources to be committed, the budget, the staff, the equipment that you dedicate to this project. So including the balance of scientific and financial contributions from the respective country's partner. And finally, some reminders. As we already said, we invite you to consult the call announcement, and we highly recommend you to consult the Annex B, which describe the national, regional rules and the information about the national contact points. You will also find the pre-proposal and full proposal forms in Annex D and E. We will present just after the EPSS, which is the online submission system. You have also here the email address of the EPSS technical help desk if you encounter any issues connecting, for instance, or in your submission. And for questions regarding the calls, except the national regional rules, because you have to contact your national contact point. But for any of the questions on the call process, you can contact the Joint Call Secretariat with this email address. With a reminder is here that the Joint Call Secretariat cannot answer any questions on the scientific content of your proposal. So I guess there are questions on this session, and so we can take some of them.
Iceland is not a partner, a participating funding organization in this third call. The pre-proposals and the full proposals are evaluated on the 3 criteria that were presented to you by Sylvain, and solely based on these evaluation criteria. Tunisia is in this call.
Tunisia is participating in this call, so you can contact your national contact point in Tunisia for any information about eligibility. No other questions?
No, I've been answering in the chat.
No.
Just check. We do not have Algeria in this call as a participating funding organization.
Where do I find my national contact points? You have to refer to the Annex B of the call text available on the call webpage, and you will find a table with your national contact points.
I'll put the Annex B in the chat.
Good idea.
So it is still not clear to me. I'm sorry. Will you be sending today's recording? The recording and the presentations will be available on the SBEP website.
Do you have any figures relating to the number of applicants compared to round 1, round 2, and the number that were ultimately selected?
What we can say is that for about 100, a little over 100 pre-proposals submitted in step 1 of the last call, we had 24 projects that were recommended for funding at the end of our call. And in our first call, we had 19 projects that were recommended for funding, with a very similar number of pre-proposals submitted in the first step, so about 100.
Yes. It's very difficult for us to give the number of proposals that will be invited in the second stage, because it depends on the ranking by the committee and on the funding pressure for each funding organization.
Concerning self-funded partners from countries, the funding organization rules and regulations are relevant to partners requesting funding from these PFOs. If you are a self-funded partner, you do not have to adhere to these regulations. There are eligibility criteria that are specified in the call text related to the funding to the self-funded partners, but they are a lot lighter than the partners requesting grants from the participating funding organization. So the coordinator cannot be in charge of more than one proposal. You're referring to the host institution or the PI.
The PI.
Yes, PI.
Yeah.
The partner representing the organization can only be a consortium coordinator in one proposal. Okay, time is ticking on, so I propose that we move on to the next slides. We have a presentation by Catherine Saar, who unfortunately couldn't be with us today, but she has prepared a video for everyone to watch. So here we go.
Hello everyone, my name is Catherine Saar from the Estonian Research Council, Council, and now let's look at the proposed submission platform. If you have submitted a proposal in the previous calls, then you will find the system very familiar. There won't be any major changes that we have made. But if you're totally new, first thing you need to look is the partner search tool. If you would like to find any partners for a consortium, or you would like to submit a partner search yourself. Here you can also see the list of different type of partner searches, and you can filter them by country, priority area, or keywords, so on. Then, if you're ready to start submitting, writing your proposal in the system, first you need to create an account. If you have an account from the previous years, you can use the same one as you had, and you don't need to do a new one. But after you have created the account, you need to sign in and choose the 2025 call. Then choose the option for applicants, and you can start creating your pre-proposal. The first step is to choose the acronym for your proposal and start filling it out. As a coordinator, your view will be like this on the left. Here you can start edit all the parts of the proposal, and you as a coordinator are the only one who can submit the proposal when the deadline comes. First section is about general information about your project, the title, acronym, duration, and so on. Here you can also add or remove different participants, change their type, and add PIs. The next part, you can start filling out your participant details, add CV, and also budget for your organization. The next part is about the project summary, short project description, and if you want to, you can suggest any reviewers. There is also a part about do no harm, significant harm principle, page where you can view your entire proposal or download your proposal budget. Now you can move on adding partner PIs. First, you need to choose what type of participant they are, if they will get funding or not. Then you now only need their name and email. Please keep in mind that you need to notify your partners yourself that you have added them to the proposal, because the system won't do it themselves. And then your partners can create their users if they don't have one already, and start to accept or decline. Join your invitation and start filling out their own information. Partner PI can only review all the sections of the proposal. They can only fill out their own information, and they cannot give access to the proposal for their team members or assistants to fill it out. They have to do it themselves. Then you can move on up to the participant details section, where you need to fill out directly to the system. It cannot be uploaded. You can here fill out your own information or the information about your organizations, and list other team members that you will include in the proposal. Here you can also fill out the part about your CV, for example, your education, work positions, and list up to 5 most important achievements or publications. Then to the most important part of the proposal, the budget. Each partner has to comply with the funding rules of their funding organization. So first thing I would recommend is to each partner to go and have a look at the national regulations, and then start filling it out. Please keep in mind that some funding organizations cannot give more up 100% of the eligible cost. So some partners may need to have their own financing in part. For partners from the same country, there is a maximum budget limit of 60% of the total requested project budget. And there are also some mandatory costs you need to calculate into your budget. Those are listed in the system as well. There are two columns you need to fill out. First is the total cost, where you can list all the costs that will be related to your projects. The second column is the funding you will be requesting from your funding organization about different cost categories. Then there is a part about the summary of the projects. First, you need to choose from the list priority area, scientific disciplines, or the sea-based innovations that will be covered in your project. Then you can start filling out different parts. For example, writing a description about your study areas or countries included in the projects. You can write the summary of the project itself or describe the preliminary data of data management information. Keep in mind there is a character limit for each of these sections, and that includes characters with spaces. Then the next step is the short project description. That one you can upload as a PDF to the system. Keep in mind there is a limit of 5 pages, and automatically after the deadline, excess pages will be made invisible. So if you have more pages, those won't be seen by the evaluators, and important information might be lost. So don't exceed the page limit. Here, this is the section where you can include different tables, figures, references, but do not include any links or hyperlinks. Those are not allowed and also will be made invisible. There are formatting conditions, and those you can find in the system. And there is also a list about the elements that you must include in the project description. So lastly, the important stuff to keep in mind. You as a coordinator can submit the project proposal as many times as you want before the deadline. Only the last submitted version will be taken into account. After the deadline, unfortunately, no edits or submitting is allowed. You won't be able to do it because the system won't let you do it anymore. And if there are any incomplete fields that you have not filled out, then you won't be able to submit your proposal. So have a careful look, complete any missing parts or fix any detected problems, or let us know if you have any problems, but do it please well before the deadline, because in the last minutes, we might not be able to get to your problem. And if the deadline closes, unfortunately, we can't do anything anymore. Keep in mind also that the information you give in the pre-proposal is binding. There will be no major changes allowed between the pre and full proposal stages. So think through what you will be submitting, but don't leave it to the last minute. If you need any help about the submission platform, there is a technical help desk email. You can contact us and we will try to help you out. But again, don't leave it to the last minute, because the last minutes will be also busy for us. Thank you so much for joining me to this presentation, and have good luck with your proposals.
Okay, so it was a very good presentation by our colleague Catherine on the PSS platform.
From the external research card.
Sorry for this. So I don't know if there are any questions on the chat, but I don't think so.
There don't seem to be any questions concerning the EPSS. What is the process? The consortium leader uploads the total project, but the separate partners submit their own bits to the national funding organizations. Yes, so the partners, each partner should have access to the EPSS to detail the requirements listed on the EPSS.
You will, yeah, as a partner, you will have your own access to the EPSS to develop your administrative details, but also to contribute to the scientific description of the proposal. But the submission is done by the coordinator.
There are no changes allowed between step 1 and step 2 concerning the composition of the consortium unless requested by the call steering committee.
If you unforesee, if you have unforeseen circumstances, you can request a change, but we invite you to contact both the Joint Call Secretariat and your national contact points to ensure that this will be accepted and to ensure that you are still eligible following this exceptional change.
Is it essentially the theory of change as outlined earlier? Yes, so concerning the project description, so this project description is 5 pages and the theory of change should be outlined in the project description.
Yeah, in a dedicated section.
There is no maximum limits of partners detailed in the call text. Partners need to have a necessary role, and self-funded partners need to have a necessary role in the consortium. The funding is dependent on I'm losing the question. On the costs of each. Firstly, you have the funding requested per partner. In this funding request, you will see on the EPSS that it is outlined if it's additional activities or management costs or if it's equipment. And this is outlined on the EPSS what these costs go to. So yes, it does need to be detailed on the EPSS.
And the eligibility can depend on your funding organization. So this is very clearly developed in the Annex B, whether or not costs are the different type of costs are eligible or not.
So the information that is requested from self-funded partners, we really invite you to consult Annex F, I believe, which no, Annex E, sorry, for step 1, which details the information that we need from self-funded partners.
A self-funded partner is a partner like any other partner in the consortium. So we require you the same information, but you don't request funding to a funding organization, so you won't have to specify anything on funding requesting.
So the question from Pooja Tiwari, the priority area is not listed as priority of a country in Annex B. So the priority areas that are funded by each PFO are listed in the call text, if I'm not mistaken, in the section dedicated to the funding. But it is in the call text and not in the Annex B. So time is ticking really quickly, so I suggest we move on to the brokerage events.
Yeah, we are organizing a brokerage event online just right now. It opened a few weeks ago and it will remain open until the closure of this call, the 17th of November. So we invite you to connect to this platform, which is a B2 matchmaking platform. So you will find the link either on the call webpage or on the presentation that we will publish on the webpage later. So this brokerage event is for you to identify and meet potential partners to build your consortium. So you can register, create your profile, detailing your organization, your own profile, and so on. And you can search from the list of partners, and you can start to interact. So screen the online profile and request meetings to the others. So you will be able to meet with partners on predefined time slots. So we scheduled 5 sessions of 2 hours per week for 20-minute meetings. So you can select the time slots that are convenient for you and just request meetings to the others. So the end of the event is November 17th, the submission deadline. And you can contact the Joint Call Secretariat for any questions you may have. And this was the last section of this webinar.
Yeah. So if you have any more information that you need about the partnership, we invite you to check the SBEP website. The link is here. We can also put it in the chat. We invite you to follow all the partnership social media, so on Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram. All the documents are available on the SBEP website. Please consult the Annex B frequently concerning the rules and regulations per country, because these can be updated regularly by the PFOs. The pre-proposal submission deadline is the 17th of November at 3 o'clock in the afternoon CET. This is very important. So all pre-proposals that are submitted after this deadline will not be accepted and will not be sent for evaluation by the Scientific Evaluation Committee. If you have any questions regarding the call process, the eligibility, or anything to do with the call, we invite you to contact the Joint Call Secretariat. Their email is right here for all of your questions. All the questions that we haven't been able to answer in the chat, please don't worry. We're going to make a frequently asked questions document that will be available on the SBEP website after this webinar. It might take a few days for this to be put on the website, but do not worry, it will be made available. If you have very specific questions about the funding of a participating funding organization, please contact this funding organization via their email, via the National Contact Point email available in Annex B. For any information regarding the scientific contents of the pre-proposals, we really invite you to read the call text. Is a lot more detailed than what we will be able to go over today. So yes, thank you everyone. Thank you to all the speakers, Margarita, Gabriel, Abraham, Catherine, who wasn't here, unfortunately, but who made a very good video. Thank you to Sylvain. Thank you to Michaela as well. And we wish you good luck.
Wish you all the best for your submission.
We wish you all the best for your pre-proposal submissions. And we're here for you if you need anything. Thank you very much.
And we are perfectly on time.
Okay. Thank you very much to everyone.